Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark from Solar Games, and today we're going to talk about Dominaria Remastered. I keep getting this wrong. So look, you've all seen the videos. Everyone's super hyped about the set. Looks pretty good. What I'm hearing is that apparently everyone's thinking the price currently as is pretty good and correct. I'm not going to say yes or no to that point. I'm just kind of making a video to warn everyone. Maybe I always take the contrarian perspective, but that's in some ways why I feel like I've kind of dodged myself out of a lot of mistakes. Anyways, I just want to create a video, warn everyone, because it doesn't seem like anyone's talking about it from the perspective of like, hey, Dominaria Remaster is cautious. Be cautious about it. Be careful with it. But right now, I think the general consensus is, hey, the draft boosters at 220, 250-ish, that range, and then the collectors being at 300 is a really good price or decent price to purchase in. My take on it is I think it's a little bit too high, especially given the current environment with Wizard and given the current their need to push more products on the market, their need to continue to get more money, which means usually overprinting. So I don't know if 220 is actually a high price. I actually think maybe Dominaria Remaster should go down to around, I don't know, 160 again. Anyways, so let me do the comparable, right? So the only set that we can truly compare Dominaria Remaster, and it's not even a fair comparison, is going to be Time Spiral Remaster. It's the first remaster set. Came out of the gate in March of 2021. In the beginning, when they first announced it, it was actually kind of pretty negative. I think people didn't have confidence in the beginning in the set. So people were kind of dumping it, thinking, look, it's full of reprints, garbage cards, etc. Who's actually going to want to do this thing? Now, Wizards kind of probably knew this, and that's why when they initially released the set, it was also, the supply was extremely short, right? So all the stores had some, but a lot of stores were just trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible. I remember picking up a set. I think the store had maybe 14 total, but I purchased I think 8 or 10 of them from the store. Basically that day, almost clearing out his inventory, right? And I mean, I paid 160-ish, I think, per box from the guy, 150, 160, something like that. Really good price, really, for Time Spiral Remastered. But again, it's a set that people didn't have confidence. Everyone's kind of waiting to see. Now, of course, when the set actually dropped and people start playing it, people realized there were shooting star foils and how rare those were, right? One per box. Then, of course, that drove the demand way up. Now, a lot of people were opening the product. A lot of people were playing with it. They love it. They were opening for the shooting star foil, kind of like a lottery card type of thing. But also they were just playing the cards, and it's good. And of course, the supply was super constrained because most of the stores that sold out, you sell 14 boxes, you didn't have a resupply. If you went to distributors, they would have said, no, we don't have any Time Spiral Remastered. Come see us later. And of course, within about a month or two, all the rest of the supply got dumped on Amazon. It's apparently they've been dumping on Amazon. I mean, honestly, if you didn't know the history, the origination of Amazon dumps is around the time Spiral Remastered happened. Now, I would argue probably Wizards started dumping on Amazon with Ikoria Commanders. I think that was the first set that got dumped super low. Ikoria, by the way, Commander 2020, Ikoria Commanders, they did it twice, but basically in the Christmas of 2020, in that Zendikar age, they dumped those boxes for $99 for the set of 5 commander decks. Really good price. And if you missed out, you missed out. But there was that. I bought a ton of those. I maxed it out as much as I can. That was the first set of dumps. Regardless. TSR, the rest of the supply came to market. Then everyone got angry because we realized that the first good set, again, in the middle of Zendikar, Kaldheim, right? Bad sets that were not performing well out of the gates. Finally, the good set, they didn't give restocks to the store. They gave it to Amazon to dump the rest. And Amazon seemed to have endless supply of these things. It was not a challenge at all, right? And they were tanking the price like crazy because Amazon could do that because they don't need to sell it for 300. I mean, at some point, I think at one point, Time Spiral Remaster hit 350, I want to say. Market price type of thing. But of course, quickly after Amazon dumping it, went back down to 280, 270, 260. I think as low as 220 to 250, that range was where the price settled, right? Now, again, this is what happened with Time Spiral Remastered. And as we discussed before, when Wizards makes the product, the first time they make a product, it's always the better one. It's always the good one. They've put more effort into it. They really engineered to not fail. There's a lot of love, creativity that they put into the product for the first release of something. Now, we come to Dominaria Remastered. So, similar item, similar idea. You got retro foils, you got retro versions of cards, very similar to that Dominaria, to the Time Spiral Remastered feel. Good cards. I'm not saying the cards are bad. I'm not saying, these things, of course, there's going to be bulk rares, draft shafts type of things, but that's kind of there to pad out the set. It's basically how that works, right? You can't have a set where every rare is good. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for the economy. It's going to kind of tank the secondary market. Wizards, their financial engineers know how this works. That's why they engineer products like this. Now, the big difference between Time Spiral and Dominaria Remaster is that Wizards has the data. In fact, we have the data too. We know Time Spiral Remaster did really well. It did so well that we thought Double Features was a remaster set, and we actually went in on the product to then find out it's a pretty crappy, just pack slapped together type of set. So, right? So you could get baited pretty hard for this type of stuff. WotC has this data too. WotC knows the demand that was for Time Spiral Remastered, and they of course adjusted all the print runs, everything for this set too. In addition, they're introducing collector's boosters, which they did not introduce for the last remaster set, which is also, again, one of the reasons why it was so refreshing. It was a set in the middle of all this collector set booster craziness that just had a draft booster, nothing else. It was like the old school days again. I think that drove a lot of the product to be consumed because people were saying, if I want the card, I still have to open a draft booster. If I want a draft, I open the draft booster. There was no way to collect the cards in a separate way, right? So, of course, the supply had to be larger. You had to satisfy the collector, the investor, and also the player base with those draft boosters. You couldn't just do different products for different lines. Yeah. And so given all those info, they of course adjusted supply, adjusted print runs, adjusted how they're going to release the product. But here's the other tricky part. They know how they release Time Spiral Remaster, whether it was accidental, being cautious, or intentional. They know that releasing the thing slowly gave them better sales, gave them better numbers, and they could sell it for higher. In fact, if you look on Amazon today, what is the cost of Dominaria Remastered draft boosters? They're like $250, $270, that range. And what were they before? When they first came out available, I think it was September of this year, 2022, they were around $160. So on Amazon, it's already a price increase of over $100. So you got to be really careful. Is this a good price to go? And if you just want to enjoy the game, probably okay. I think it's fine if you buy a set now, you just want to enjoy the game. I think it's fine, right? But if you're trying to hold the product long-term for investment, given all the things you've seen last year, given all the things you've seen this year, given all the things that all these sets that seem to do okay or seem pretty hype out of the gate and then turn into a big mess because they overprinted, do you believe that this set is going to have, long-term longevity? I know there's been talks about collector's boosters. Apparently the supply has been cut. Stores aren't getting as many, but that doesn't mean too much to me anymore, right? Look, honestly, at this point, unless they put serialized cards in sets where we can clearly understand how many they're going to print, how do you know they don't just go behind your back and actually print more collector's booster, even though they say this is a one print run product? How do you know? I don't know. I mean, the trust is all eluded at this point, right? I mean, if a wizard comes out of the gate and says, oh, we printed 20,000 collector's, 150,000 collector's boosters. Do you believe in those numbers? Do you actually believe those numbers? Or when they say things like, oh, there's no supply problem. All the supplies are well managed. And then they go and dump products for way cheaper than distribution. Do you believe that the supplies are well managed? Do you believe that there's no oversupplying issue? All supplies meaning all demand? Do you actually believe them? I don't. And this is the thing. I could totally see them trying to get more money out of this, that they constrain the supply artificially to make it look a lot better than it is, and then slowly trickle it out. Now, it's actually pretty smart. In fact, I think that's what they're doing with Brothers War 2. I think that's what they're doing with Jumpstart 2022. And I think that's what they're going to do for Dominaria and all the sets going forward. Whether or not they have a big warehouse holding all this product or they have intentions to print more, I'm not sure. But from my perspective, why would they not have those things? And here's the thing, they could sell everything they can up front for a lot of money, right? Good markup. And then by the end of it, dump the rest to Amazon. So actually looking at my Commander Legends Baldur's Gate Commander decks, the set of 4 that I purchased from Amazon, I think this is Black Friday this year. I was just looking at how many were shipped over to Amazon. And out of this shipment, they had, on the cartons, on the Amazon labels, if you have them, they'll have the labels shipped from Watsy's warehouse in Texas, Grand Prairie, Texas, over to Amazon's warehouse. And they'll say how many cartons out of how many. So, for example, on the Commander Legends Commander decks, the set of 4, there were 1,608, I think, cartons shipped over to them. So that's how much extra they had that they gave to Amazon to go dump for like $99 or whatever, $93 or whatever I paid for it, right? I just think, honestly, look, even if the set is amazing, even if everything is great, you got to really think about your upside potential versus your downside risk. And my fear, especially if you're buying collector's boosters at 300 plus, if you're buying the draft boosters at like 280, your upside potential is really small, right? And it's high risk, but your downside risk is super high. Very likely more comes to the market, and guess what? Your 300 collector booster now is going to be like 280, 250, 260, 220. My personal opinion, I wouldn't purchase this price unless, of course, you want to buy the product for yourself to open. If you're looking to collect and invest, I would do this, right? If the supply is actually constrained, they print only, let's say, I don't know, 100,000 collector's boosters or 50, and it actually was low, like Commander Legends 1, cool. Let someone else take the gains, walk away. Because the risk is too high, right? It's one of those things where if you want to take a little, like, I don't know, like gamble on it, I think it's fine. But if you're looking to like, oh, I'm going to make money because, it's super supply is low, whatever. Dude, anytime there's artificially low supply, you got to be really careful because that's somebody controlling this number. It's not natural. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's somebody controlling this number, which means they can control it the other way too. So you have to be really careful. Again, I suspect Wizard, knowing all the numbers, they've adjusted their print runs and supplies. But at the same time, given all the things that Susan was talking about on that call, they're not changing how they're printing. And given how successful Time Spiral Remastered was, they're going to print more. They're going to have more upfront to meet the initial demand and have extra supplies, but also behind to then wave 2, wave 3, ship the products out. Of course, towards the end, it's just going to get dumped on Amazon. And bottom line, here's what it is. Look, it doesn't cost Wizard any more money to print a box of Dominaria Remastered than it does for them to print Crimson Vow. It's same cardboard, same ink, same packaging, same shipping. So if they can sell that box for 180, 150 even, 120 even, they're making more money trying to dump Crimson Vow for 60. You think they're not smart enough to think about this? It's the same cost to them, right? Make more top line money for this. Now, it is long-term erosion of their trust, their brand, the secondary market. These things do matter. But in the short term, for them to make up the gap that they need to make up, brilliant plan, right? Yeah. Right now, I just personally don't think the price is amazing. I would hold off. If you bought the cars at 160, I think it's probably okay. Again, I know that's not the current price, but don't give into the hype. Don't try to buy boxes at like 280. I think if you buy currently for 220, 250 range, probably okay. Because again, that's where Time Spiral Remaster eventually settled around. Probably okay to be there. Again, your upside gain is very little to your downside risk is very high. And yeah, I would just play it safe, man. Like, Watsy's stance is pretty clear. So there's really no reason for us to go crazy on products like this, even though it sounds good, it's amazing, it's one of those really cool things. I think being cautious right now is probably the better idea. Yeah, just be careful, guys. All right. I mean, again, just want to let you know, different opinion, different aspect on Dominaria Remastered. Hopefully, it's helpful. Either way, and I appreciate you watching. Peace.